There, amongst 80,000 festival goers at Austin city limits, was my ex-husband, Rob. My boyfriend had left his iPhone under a tent, and we were running back to find it when instead, a ghost found me. Without will, I stopped in my tracks and was staring at him, mouth agape, eyes wide. No, what now? I'm just trying to be happy. Just please let me be. Fear shot through me like a bolt of lightning. Earlier that day in the car on the way down to Austin, I'd been snappy to my boyfriend. Every little thing he did had my defenses coming to attention. I'd reel back the love I authentically felt for him and put up my dukes. I wasn't totally at ease in our relationship because I was still hurt from the failure of my marriage. I wanted to rise above it, but there was an odd comfort, a familiarity in feeling terrible. And that translated into sometimes making those closest to me feel terrible too. My past hadn't been easy on our young relationship, but my boyfriend didn't let it get to him. He was determined to help me put my pain behind me. Let's make this weekend about letting go, he said. Let's let go of our past as individuals so that we can come together and build our future. I nodded, thinking how badly I wanted to be free of the grief and pain and how much I wanted to celebrate the true love I'd found with him. I'd been divorced for 8 months and was ready to stop comparing our relationship to the one that had failed so massively. I was with him. Yes, if there are any ghosts in the closet, now's the time for them to come out and rear their ugly heads, I laughed. We turned up the tunes, and the excitement of what was to come and the open road ahead calmed my nerves. I looked over at the handsome man driving and felt my heart open just the tiniest bit. His strength, his sense of adventure, and the clarity with which he saw our future together gave me tingles. I started to get really excited. ACL was my special place, and I wanted to share it with him. It was a place where responsibilities didn't exist, where the combination of music and young people resulted in an easy-to-swallow capsule of pure fun. So you can imagine my shock when the biggest ghost in my closet sprang right out within hours of our arrival on the festival grounds. Staring into Rob's eyes amidst the masses, I remembered the first time I saw him. Immediately, I was struck by the spiritual depth I saw in his eyes. It was like falling into an ocean. I had lost my soulmate a few months before in the death of my grandmother. I needed someone new to help me guide my misguided soul, and Rob filled that void. But he wasn't without his quirks. He didn't drink, didn't do drugs, he didn't eat meat, he didn't eat dairy, he didn't eat sugar. We joked that he was a breatharian. With his long brown hair and sunken cheeks, he in many ways resembled Jesus. I guess I really was ready for a change. Our connection escalated quickly. The stark contrast of his environmental activist yogi spirit jolted me right out of my West Hollywood reckless actress lifestyle. The 10-pound weight loss I experienced when I stopped eating meat startled those closest to me whose memories of my battle with anorexia hadn't faded. I stopped going to bars altogether, avoiding the life of promiscuity and career obsession that had dominated my time in Los Angeles. For the first time in my adult life, I was in a monogamous relationship, and it felt safe. I was along for the ride. Rob and I had bought a house in Venice, California before we were even engaged. We manifested it with a stated income, loan, $100,000 of his inheritance from his grandpa, and my perfect credit score. A darling, 2-bedroom, Spanish-style house with a koi pond, palm trees, and a freestanding studio in the backyard. All for the ludicrous price of $1 million! The strain of the mortgage and California property taxes weighed heavily on us. Me, a 27-year-old Pilates instructor and aspiring actor, he, a 39-year-old whose company disintegrated while we were in escrow. His anger quickly turned to bitterness and then depression. The house bound us together, and my anxiety at living with him without being engaged or married was building. Eventually, he produced a ring, and I dove full force into wedding planning. And the wedding was truly magnificent, the princess fantasy that I always dreamed of. But when once again he was too tired to make love to me on our wedding night, the pain I felt was so deep that I blocked it out. Amidst serious issues in our sex life and finances, I pulled from my acting skills to present a perfect couple persona. I would not fail. I simply ignored the growing gap between my fantasy of a husband and the actual man. After the wedding, we decided to leave LA. I was no longer pursuing a career in TV and film, and he hadn't had an income for 2 years. I felt the call to go home to my family in Dallas, hopefully start a family of our own. With nothing tying him to California, Rob was happy to leave. That left the question of the house. The reality of the housing bubble bursting meant that the value was now 30% less than what we bought it for. We stopped making payments and spent one more summer of Cali fun before packing up our things, tossing the keys to Bank of America, and heading for Texas. I'll never forget the sharpness of the sense of a blank slate I had when we moved to my hometown. I could do or be anything. Kind of a crazy feeling at 30 years old. I found us a house in Lakewood and opened up a Pilates studio that was bustling within a month. My biological clock was ticking. But for 3.5 years, Rob had gone from one unsuccessful business venture to another while subsisting off of his trust fund. My anxiety built to a boiling point. I put aside the baby idea and started seeing a blind therapist who helped me open the door to Pandora's box. Holy hell, I was in the wrong marriage, and I had been completely blind to it up until that moment. The night after I came to this realization, I shot out of bed and drove off into the night, leaving Rob a terse note. When I finally faced my feelings, they erupted like a volcano. It took Rob several weeks to come out of the ashes and understand how deeply troubled our marriage was. I begged him to interview for a job, to show me that he was willing to do whatever it took to make our marriage work. In a moment of vulnerability, he whispered to me, "Maybe you should be with someone else. I don't think I can do it." After what would be our last couples counseling session, I was washing my hands in the sink when my platinum and diamond engagement ring broke into 2 pieces. I barely caught the diamonds before they fell down the drain. It was only then, when I held these broken pieces of our commitment in my hand, that he understood that the chapter that we held together had come to a close. I was in the process of healing, of moving on, of finding the love that I had been looking for all my life. Just when I was starting to own my own happiness again, Rob showed up, like a specter from the past, but with a message I needed to hear. "Don't be afraid of me," he said. And there, amongst a happy crowd of music lovers, I felt with remarkable clarity, I don't need to be scared anymore. Rob held no animosity toward me. I felt forgiveness. I felt emotionally separate from him. I introduced Rob to my boyfriend, and seeing them shake hands was surreal. Our pact had worked! A ghost of the man that I had 5 years before fallen in love with communicated the thing to me that I so desperately needed to hear. I was free. I was finally free.